for example, a hero that against TGG was banned out heavily.
BKB wanting to run that Garrosh. Also, another note, Illidan nerfs. Probably one of the biggest teams to be affected by that here. Team Good Guys, that Illidan hunt going from 60 seconds to 100, which has been enough for some pro players in the backgrounds to say, hey, Illidan isn't a hero that you want to move towards anymore.
Or to say just, well, Metamorphosis looks all of a sudden a lot better here, depending on your playstyle. But keep in mind that one of the main reasons why the hunt was favored so heavily is that that pseudo-global allowed Illidan a lot more utility on that side lane. For now, starting into the draft, Dignitas with an immediate ban on Abathur, and we have Taz that are taken out. So 2 of the high-priority heroes in Europe already eliminated. And we mentioned Rega a bit earlier here today, that Rega on certain maps can be a super early pick. And the Good Guys have prioritized Rega more so than any other team. So while Rega usually, outside of Tomb of the Spider Queen, is still highly prioritized, but not to a first pick extent, the Good Guys value him this much, and that already puts them into a bit of a weird position heading into their second rotation, because Dignitas immediately just replies that as well, if you don't want ETC or Rega, or Dehaka, we're just going to get both of them.
Guess we'll just take him here. So early indicators are in. Ariel is out, Rhaegar is in, and so is ETC and Dehaka in this new patch here so far for our teams. ETC Dehaka, incredible combo. Get the power slide moving in, brush talk in, force a fight, drop down a support or an assassin, you can start winning those team fights right away. As I say Ariel's out though, Team Good Guys, they disagree. They pick up the Ariel and the Vala.
Yeah, they have their double support Vala now. I'm just not sure how much I really like them heading into that super early Rhaegar. On Tomb of the Spider Queen, I wouldn't have minded it at all, but giving up ETC and Dehaka, after what we've just discussed in the previous series with how important both of these heroes are at this point, seems like a bit of a misstep, and that could definitely come back to haunt them, especially since Dignitas now picks up Uther and Genji as well. Yeah, okay.
Dignitas seems to be getting everything that we fear. That usually gets picked up in the first couple of slots, and they now have the first 4 slots filled out here with the Divine Shield Bladestorm into the Bladestorm, yes. Dragon Blade, Dehaka, and ETC.
What do you mean? They changed Genji's ult?
That's right, he now spins in a circle.
Awesome.
They had to get Smurro in the game there, so there we go. Now, Arthas and Johanna. So Arthas answers back at least some of that engage that will be coming in their way, and Johanna kind of helps out overall, but Team Good Guys, they have a composition that if the Vala falls apart, what do they do?
That's a very good question. And also, Dignitas has all the tools that they need to simply play around them. That's what probably scares me more. Dignitas definitely has a setup that they can use to jump on lanes, get isolation kills, fight team fights as well, if they now add a good mage, which I would expect them to do still. But they also can simply use Dehaka and ETC and play around the Good Guys. I would love the Good Guys draft if I didn't see what Dignitas has right now. Because without the bans and counter picks that you would expect, the setup that Dignitas is running here, even without the last pick, is already incredibly scary.
The good news for Good Guys is they do have a decent front line, can force those fights, but this is going to be a bit harder now. With Gul'dan coming on the mix here for Dignitas, one, they get decent poke, which really helps out with that front line. It's very hard for Johanna to dive into a Gul'dan, and they also have the Horrify if the tanks ever overstep and keep those supports on that back line. So it's a bit of a difficult draft here. Team Dignitas, they seem like they got to win here.
I mean, TGG wants to dominate the bot lane and try and get control over the camps. They...
Say it, Caldor. Drop it.
I mean, there's nothing to drop. I think Dignitas has way too many like complete top-tier heroes here.
Yeah.
We've been going on... like. Already the first rotation for Dignitas is something that just blew me away. After we just spent an entire 3 maps talking about the dynamic that has been established over the last week between ETC and Dehaka, and they just gave up both of them in favor of Rhaegar as a first pick, that already surprised me. But then with the rest of their picks, we have Genji, which we have seen on Snitch just absolutely dominate together with Bakery's Uther. So the only thing that TGG can really hope for is that they can somehow outdamage Uther. But then you have Gul'dan ready on the side of Mene, back on the mage. I mean, hello, finally. And with Horrify, he has destroyed teams single-handedly in team fights. So I'm extremely afraid at this point for TGG. I think Dignitas has a fantastic draft.
I will say the early game, Vala Ariel still can be quite the nuisance if you're able to work in those auto attacks and punish your opponent, and if they don't respond back, and then you have the Rhaegar for the Mercenary Camp. So they can do okay if they have an amazing early game. Let's get started here. Towers of Doom, game number 1, best of 5 series. Let's see how Dignitas will fare against the good guys.
Game on, as we have TGG going up against Dignitas. Map number 1 with Bakery on Uther for Dig. Mene on Gul'dan, back on the mage here. JPL at that front line with ETC. And we're seeing Snitch on his Genji that he can use to decimate an entire opponent's backline. And of course, last but not least, it's Zelia currently on Dehaka.
On the right side, in the red, anti-hero will be on Arthas, Corona has an Ariel, Zay playing Rhaegar, Raid Boss on the Vala, and BKB playing Johanna.
BKB on Johanna now, and let's see how exactly this is going to work out for the good guys. Since Dignitas has a fantastic draft here with globals that the good guys simply don't have in their own setup. But they have a very strong, at least bot lane position that they can use with a double support and also, of course, Vala. So if they can dominate the 2 Zappa camps, they might be able to push Dignitas back early on. But Dignitas definitely has an absolute top-tier draft for themselves right now.
Yeah, it certainly is going to come down to how strong that Vala can work in those auto attacks and be not controlled by the opposing team. If ETC is unable to get the power slides in that they want, and Johanna holds that front line, which can be difficult for her, they can make it work. We'll see if that will pay off for them. Already, you're seeing the benefits of what Team Dignitas' draft can do, though. They kept Vala in the middle lane, which forced him to go all the way in the long rotation, which allowed for Dignitas to push in the bottom side and get pressure on that Rhaegar.
Yeah, at this point, I'm even asking myself if this would be one of those rare instances where I could actually see them go into an auto attack build with Vala. Comes online really late. You need to be hyper-aggressive at the start to get the auto attacks with Creedon on 4. But you have 2 tanks at the front to protect you. You have a double support. You can be completely out there. And once that you complete it, you get the extra damage in. Because I think even with Arthas being able to pack a punch, and with Rhaegar delivering a bit of extra damage, that output is still pretty low. Not quite sure if that's really going to work out for them. I don't really expect them to do it, but I wouldn't hate it as much as I normally do if they would experiment with this.
Well, so far, Team Good Guys doing all right here. A slight experience lead should be mitigated while Genji soaks that middle lane. Should be having an altar spawn soon. There they go. They have been activated, and both teams grab mercs.
Also, one thing to point out is we talk about Uther as the solo support, but let's not forget that we are having on ETC an immediate proc rock taken here. So he's at least after the 20 globes going to be able to help them out a little bit. So Uther has some assistance here, and even if it's just for ETC alone, it really helps if you don't have to focus every single heal on your tank.
Now let's see how these altars will pop out. In terms of just looking at paper, Team Dignitas should be in the lead here. They have a Dehaka who should be able to rotate in with that Bloodsucker and help out on the bottom side, so they should be able to grab both the altars if they play it correctly. Team Good Guys on the other side will have to reset up, and here comes a Dehaka. They move in, they find a Rhaegar, and Zay looks like he's in trouble.
Yep, and that was also a little bit predictable, but so far Zay isn't dead yet.
Well, just
scratch
kidding.
That. Snitch is already there, so I was like, hey boys, how you doing? And takes him down. Gets his reset, doesn't use it immediately. There's no place for him to jump in. JPL already with the power slide, but they're just buying some time for Bakery to channel. But interrupt, thanks to Vala, as we see even more aggression from Snitch, pushing everyone on the side of the good guys back to allow the second channel for Dig.
And that dash was very important for Snitch, going in there, buying some time there to make sure that channel does go off before Rhaegar does spawn and joins back in the fight. And that was actually incredibly textbook from Dignitas. I was actually kind of wondering why Team Good Guys put themselves in a spot where a power slide could hit 3 people and set up for Dehaka to go in for the rotation. A bit of a misstep there by Rhaegar.
Yeah, and now the thing is really also that Mene is just firing away from the backline the entire time. And the one thing that Mene is absolutely known for is his usual impeccable positioning. That is incredibly difficult to jump on him and put him under pressure. And as long as you don't do that, as long as you don't have that flank that pressures him, he is just going to completely rip you apart. And at this point, Dignitas has the 2 altars channeled through, so they have a slight lead when it comes to the hit points on the core. And they've already done some significant damage to the towers itself with that earlier Zappa camp that they take.
Well, an uncontested Gul'dan is a happy Gul'dan. Well, I guess Gul'dan's never really happy in lore, but regardless, a Gul'dan that is uncontested getting a siege off there, Mene at least is going to be happy there. Here comes another fight on the right side. I do like the attempts at engages by Dignitas. Not quite paying off here, though, as Bakery gets picked off. Team Good Guys answer back.
Yeah, good kill from the good guys. That was an important one too. So they are able to not only get the Zapper camp, but at the same time they get a kill on top of that. Snitch, on the other hand, is not going to have any problem here. Nice. Good move here. Quick Iron Skin being used on the side from BKB, so that was definitely an important one.
Miss out on a few minions, but they get a kill and get the Sappers pushing in. Team Good Guys, solid trade overall. They miss out on the minions on the top because Dahaka pushed it in, but not a big deal at all when they get that kill. So Team Good Guys will now be in a spot where they need to think about contesting this ultra that spawns to the very far south here.
Now, JPL is on the way back. He's really low on mana, and it should just allow him to come back in time for that fight. But this is, of course, this is something where Dignitas doesn't even have to win there. Everyone on the side of the good guys rotates down. Johanna a little bit slowed down by Genji, but the important part is the Haka up at the top. So as long as you can interrupt them, you don't even have to take them. So this is the important part here.
Well, this is where Mene has to be careful, though. He'll be the #1 target, and he finds the moment. He goes in. Drain Life popping out. JPL helping out with the engage, and Mene lives. Bakery with the last-second heal here, and here comes Dahaka.
Dahaka goes in, gets the jack, but the cleanse comes through. The kill against Arthas has already been confirmed, though, and now with a stun from Uther, they're trying to go for BKB. Power Slide is in. Johanna in trouble, gets a quick condemn through, and they're trying to turn it around against JPL.
Raid Boss is destroying with auto attacks here, working on that Valda. When you go the multi-shot build, sure you get a lot of damage there, but you still have to make sure you follow up in those auto attacks, and Raid Boss is putting on a clinic right now with the Valda.
There were a couple of really cool things in this fight. So first of all, what the good guys did is they realized that they can, of course, not waste any time. They know about the Haka top lane getting value, so they pushed forward extremely aggressively. And then they are trying to go for main, and you could see that Uther had a very clutch time just getting him healed up. And the reason was that Uther split from the rest of the team to get the interrupt against the channel. So the good guys basically pushed forward, left one hero at the altar. The support on the side of Dignitas had to interrupt and then just somehow had to save Mene. And it worked out for them because Mene went for Drain Life. But because he had to save him and need to go back top, the channel already goes through. So it still worked out in favor of the good guys. It was a really cool attempt. They force the Haka down, they don't lose out on too much experience, and they get the channel through. Lose a hero in the process, but overall, that was still a successful attempt for the objective for them.
And we're all tied up in terms of core shots, 32-32. Experience slightly behind here for Team Good Guys, but they should be able to get 10 before the next phase. But the 10 hits while Zay takes a big power slide. Able to get away there thanks to Oriole and Vola helping him escape. Now it's all about level 10 for the good guys. Gotta be careful, and BKB scouting out where the opposing tank is makes it much easier for Team Good Guys to get that 10 safely.
Yeah, now this is the moment where I really want to see how the good guys act in team fights. Since stacking up against Moshpit and Horrify would of course be the one thing that Dignitas is waiting for. Once again, Oriole may be in a bit of trouble. JPL already trying to get that second stun follow-up. One stun through. Yeah. Saves himself for just a second, but overall, of course, we all know that Kronos is not going to make it out of this one. But up to the top, well...
Wait a minute.
No, that's not happening. That would have been the best escape ever if he got away there. But of course, Dignitas was also a bit on a timer since they need to go top to contest the two altars.
Still, they buy time for their teammates here as they will be able to grab one of the altars. So big engage on the right side as they will be hit with the solo Horrify. Can they find the lockdown they need? Snitch goes in with the Dragon Blade. There's one Divine Shield being utilized. Turns around for a heal too, so they get a kill and at least get an altar. But still, a lot of heroics being used.
That was a big resource commitment, but that's fine since they don't have to fight for the altar anymore. If there was another objective up, it would be a different conversation. But right now, with what they achieved, getting the kill and the altar, it's okay. The heroics are going to be up for should be up for the next fight. But actually, it's JPL who hasn't used his own heroic just yet, who gets rooted down. There's no Divine Shield available, which could allow a mosh pit, but he can't just use it. The thing is that Snitch is in the meantime destroying everybody in that backline there. Getting the kill against Arthas, Johanna is down, and Snitch isn't done yet. They're going for Raid Boss as well.
Raid Boss turns around, though, and gets the final shot on Genji. Gotta feel a little bit on the rough side there. Team Good Guys moving in, looking like they have the kill on ETC, almost forcing a fight, and then the turnaround there. Snitch comes in with the Genji damage and Dahaka to help him out. They're able to get a 2-for-3 trade.
It's definitely a bit of a damage problem. They have a lot of CCs, and we just saw that with Blessed Shield and also the Howling Blast. But confirming those kills is a little bit tricky for them. So far, they still are in the game, but they are 2 levels behind. It's 7 kills against 2, and now we are really seeing that siege potential from Gul'dan in particular down at that bot lane, especially, of course, with the Zapper camps being controlled by Dignitas. Zelia, on the other hand, likely to fall here. But even if he dies, the bottom bell tower is gone.
Big trade-off there. Trying to get away, just couldn't quite do it. The Sappers are trying to get through, but Raid Boss doing his best to hold. Won't be able to do so. Sapper goes off. Another shot to the core. 28 to 27 while 2 altars do spawn. Now, Dahaka will be able to head back in, and I didn't see if he used his essence. If he has his essence, this is actually going to be an okay spot, but Dahaka coming in with 0 essence might prove favorable here for Team Good Guys. They're able to get the pick off of where he's coming in at.
But they are in a spot where if they engage towards the bottom altar, if they try to escape, they don't have an escape path on the bot lane any longer since that bell tower was taken. So that's, from a positional perspective, a big advantage for Dignitas as they are going in.
Choke being held here, sent to the left side, and JPL is on the right.
Already trying to get the channel here. Mena joining the team now.
We do have Dahaka going to top, getting essence. Bakery, does he get the channel?
Condemn as Johanna moves in, but Mena firing back away from the backline.
And he wants to fight. He pops the Army of the Dead. They go for JPL. Here's Dahaka.
Snitch wants to interrupt. Yes, and gets it.
Oh, Cronesso able to get the Tainment Strike and knock him away. Anti-Hero is going deep. He's looking for Mane.
Yeah, he's definitely looking, but Mena all of a sudden turns around with the damage. Here comes the Horrify with the kill.
Raid Boss gets slayed down there. BKB turns around. The damage is gone for the Good Guys.
The drag is in, and there's the mosh pit in the choke point. Johanna moving in and going down as Snitch is just wrecking everybody.
And Team Dignitas will easily win this team fight. Good control by them. Nice patience as well. Finally get the pick off on the Vala, and Snitch grabs 5 more shots to the core.
1-4-4 trade in favor of Dignitas. They only lost Gul'dan, but now they can also, of course, claim another Zeppa camp. They just got the shots, 28 to 14. Great fight here. Here in particular, first of all, the drag that we saw, and then also cutting the path of retreat off with another great mosh pit after the initial kill against Vala.
That Horrified, man. Hitting all 5 members allows for Dignitas to turn around for the easy setup. The Divine Shield on HGC buying just enough time here for Mana to drop down those Fell Flames, and that is going to be the end of the fight. And from here, they just control the battleground, pushing on the bottom side, keeping that bell tower alive while Dahaka heads to top and gets 16.
I love how Sage just basically said, screw you guys. I might have still my ancestral, but no, you're dead anyways. I'm not going to waste the cooldown for you. So yeah, he just ran. You could see him hesitate for just a second. He was like, do I try? This is like, I don't like this guy in the first place, so just get out.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point of even using it? If you actually think about it, you drop down the Ancestor healing and suddenly you have no fight anyways. Just let them die. They can respawn and get mana there. At
that point, it didn't make sense. Maybe a little bit earlier in the fight, he could have tried and used it, but the Horrify, of course, was a big interrupt there as well. But at the end, when Arthur's was in trouble, there was just no way of saving him. Even if you drop the Ancestral that late, Arthur's gonna die and you just wasted a cooldown. So in the end, it made sense, but earlier in the battle, that would have been a good way to at least save one of those boys.
And this is gonna hurt. 3 altars activating here. 15.5 experience for Team Good Guys. There's a wave in the bottom side, in the middle. They could probably soak up to move towards that 16, but they're going to be a spot where they may have to give up position just to grab that experience. And JPL is pushing the envelope here, going on the right side, keeping sure that Rhaegar can't come through this choke easily.
Yeah, this is all about the positioning right now and how many altars you're going to need to make a play for. Both of the teams already with a channel attempt to the top left and top right, but BKB with the interrupt. And in the meantime, Gul'dan is taking the bot lane. So it's all about the top left right now, and Mena is making his way over on his mount.
Snitch is on the right side. Anti does come in here with the Arthas, trying to lock him down. Howling Blast will not connect, but BKB does get a condemn. But Mena, he's here.
Mena is moving in. He has the Horrify available, not using it just yet as the channel continues through Xaylia.
Anti-Hero stepping forward, does get the interruption.
Blessed Shield comes in, and immediately Anti-Hero comes in also with the army, trying to go for it. Already Isolation being used on Johanna as we see the Divine Shield and the Mosh Pit.
Raid Boss gets locked down completely. The Ancestor healing can't keep him alive, and Snitch, he's ready for a heyday. He turns around, 2 kills, looking for a third. Here's a dash, and BKB, he will fall.
The Horrify came in and completely put them into chaos. Kronas now falling too. Another 4 kills for Dignitas, increasing their kill count from 15 to 5, going for the boss. Shots fired all over the place, and even delaying right now the channel on the altar since they're prioritizing the boss first. That's going to be another 4 shots, and overall we're going to see the Good Guys fall down to 2 points on the core.
How do you kill a Vala comp? You kill the Vala. The huge power slide into the Divine Shield to lock it down. Cleanse comes out, but all the heals and the cleanses are slightly too late at that point. Team Good Guys and their composition falls apart, and Snitch happily destroys everyone in his way.
Yeah, the draft is just absolutely fantastic for Dignitas here. They have all their power picks and they are utilizing them beautifully. 24 points on Dignitas core and only 2 left for the good guys, which of course means that if a Zappa camp makes it through, it would be lights out for TGG. Another boss would also lose them the game, and of course another altar would do the same. With being 3 levels behind, Dignitas now aiming for level 20. The good guys with their level 16 talent are just absolutely on a timer. They need to put on a cling and need to make sure that they are winning a big team fight now.
Team Good Guys are looking for that fight right now. They know they want to start staggering deaths. It's the only way for them to start making a comeback, to control the battleground and get your opponent on a spot where you are at a number advantage. And so far, Team Dignitas is holding well. They're soaking the experience here on the top side for Dahaka and even working on a bell tower.
Yeah, they're going full in here, and when just like damage alone, 53,000 hero damage already on the side of Gul'dan. Once again showcasing that Mena is just the best mage that we currently have in Europe. The guy is currently absolutely killing it on that hero from the backline, and at the same time you have then Snitch on Genji. Probably one of the best melee assassins that we have right now, playing better just every week, especially on this particular hero, with 48,000 hero damage himself as they are going in once again.
20 hits, Dahaka coming outside here, Divine Shield and a power slide, misses out on the Vala, but does hit Rhaegar. Rhaegar is able to turn around and at least auto attack.
Yeah, that mosh pit was not really the best. 2 big cooldowns used just to keep Rhaegar for a few seconds out of the fight, and JPL might fall as a result. Gets barely saved here. Is able to move away, but the Horrify value once again, Mena with a place.
Mana just showing why he's one of the best mages in the HGC. Here's another attack once again. Dignitas with their power advantage here continue to keep moving forward, have yet to lose a member. The only one standing is the Lich King, but he eventually is going to fall as Snitch continues to chase him forward.
Snitch barely getting out. Make sure that he doesn't die. Antio tries to at least get the counter kill, but the channel has started, and this is game number 1 as Team Dignitas takes the victory on Towers of Doom.
Big win there from Dignitas, showing some dominance. I think Team Good Guys pulled a little bit better with the composition than I thought they would. I thought it would be a little bit more control in the favor of Dignitas, but once we actually got to the team fights and the engages would go in the favor of Dig, it just felt like it was a little bit too hard for the Good Guys to just utilize the Vala by herself.
I also really like the coordination of Divine Shield with Mosh Pit. We have seen those fail in the past quite a lot, and that was actually really absolutely... I mean, they really pinpointed in these moments, and they did a fantastic job with it. The last Mosh Pit didn't really give them too much value. Most heroes were able to move out of it. Only Rhaegar got caught. But we had a couple of fantastic ones where JPL and Bakery coordinated extremely well their own heroic abilities.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it too. With the ETC into the Divine Shield, how do you stop that in any way, shape, or form? Even if Vala does get away from the mosh pit, if you grab a support, there's no damage for the opposing team to actually punish the ETC. So he comes out of it able to still drop off his abilities, go on for the power slides or even the knockbacks, with still a heavy health bar, which allows for Uther to walk towards the Genji and drop down the heals. Just a great competition there from Dignitas.
It's of course always a positional question, especially in the first team fight when the heroic abilities weren't even a problem. We saw Dahaka move in ETC with a 3-man power slide, Dahaka capitalizing on it with a good drag against Rhaegar, who then eventually died. So the team coordination just better on the side of Dignitas. And for TGG, not really the start they were hoping for in the series, but as you said, they showed in a lot of these fights quite a bit of potential.
They did. Well, Twitter, it continues to be a buzz whenever we're here at the HGC, and we have one tweet already from you guys, Joshua Hallennick? I don't even know how to say that name there. HGC video idea for you, Trixler. Reenact all hero videos